Everyone hates FairyTail. Now that I've got your attention, I assume you've read the title of this video and know that's complete bullshit. And now for the people in the comments typing, "It's all power of friendship, blah 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 blah. It's such trash, this, that, and the other." All I gotta say is, shut up! And to those people that believe that FairyTail is all about the power of friendship and that's where they gain most of their power-ups and gain most of their strength, I pity you because you didn't fully understand the magic of the FairyTail story. And I already know people are going to be commenting, well, what about when he ate the Lacrima in his fight against Jalal and activated partial Dragon Force? Or what about when he ate Loxus's lightning, this, that, and the other, some other example? And I'll gladly explain those in this video, just give me a second. First off with Natsu versus Jalal. Now class, can anyone tell me what the Lacrima is made of? Obviously not, because if you could, this argument wouldn't even exist. The Lacrima was made from all kinds of different magics, similar to the Jupiter Cannon. In that clump of magic that makes up the Lacrima is fire magic, one of Natsu's main sources of power, along with actual fire. And now I know people are saying, well, shouldn't he have died from the poison from eating other elements? Yes, had it been any other Dragon Slayer that done a feat just like that, they would have died. But Natsu is the Fire Dragon Slayer. The key point of fire is that it burns. It burns away things. It's fire, for Christ's sake. And you can see in the show, as he's being poisoned by this magic, he ignites himself in flames and burns it away. And because of the amount of fire magic that is condensed into that Lacrima, he awakens his partial dragon force, and then promptly beats the shit out of Jalal. And now, before I go any further into this argument, I will admit, it would take an idiot to say that friendship isn't a part of FairyTail. It is one of the main focal points of the story, yes, but to say that that's where they get their powers and that's how they win fights is a complete cop-out. It's not how the story is written, it's not what happens. And now we move on to Natsu versus Loxus, when Loxus used the Fairy Law, an ultimate one-kill move that should have killed everyone in FairyTail. But with that comes the rules of magic in FairyTail, that your magic is an extension of your being. It is a part of who you are. If you don't view someone as your enemy, your magic does not either. And for a one-hit kill move like Fairy Law, it only makes sense that the proportions for that rule are even higher, just like the magic itself. Loxus never viewed the guild as his enemy. He wanted the guild to be stronger. He never wanted to kill anyone in the guild. He put on a tough front because that's what he wanted FairyTail to be, was stronger, but that's it. He never had any actual hatred for the guild itself, just what the guild had became. And at the end of that fight, when Loxus puts almost all of his magic energy into a final attack against Natsu, and Gajiel redirects it using his Iron Dragon Slayer magic, that magic to ground the attack, so leaving an opening for Natsu to attack and win the fight for FairyTail, proving that FairyTail is just as strong as it needs to be. And now I know that's not enough to convince you guys about it's not power of friendship, it's not written in the story, this, that, and the other. I want to point out another one of Natsu's powers called the Flames of Emotion, an ability that allows him to increase the power of his flames in response to his emotions, mainly his anger. His anger is what fuels his flames. They make him stronger. He's angry with Loxus, and thus Loxus used most of his power in that last attack. It left Loxus wide open for Natsu to finish the job and take down Loxus. Even though Loxus was not hurt as badly as Natsu and Gajiel, he was unable to fight. And then we have fights like Lucy and Juvia using their Unison Raid. And for me to explain that, I first need to tell you what a Unison Raid is. A Unison Raid is an attack in which two mages combine their magic into one ultimate attack, and it can take mages their entire lives to learn it. But in Lucy and Juvia's case, you have to understand that Lucy does not have an element of her own. She is a celestial wizard. Her magic is based on summoning celestial spirits and giving her magic to them to amplify their power to fight for her. And in that Unison Raid, there is no other element or other power shown besides Juvia's water and Aquarius's water. in which Lucy is powering up that attack. It isn't so much of a unison raid as it is Lucy boosting the power of Juvia's attacks, just like other mages have done throughout the series. And now we have one of our biggest points. The FairyTail Guild versus Acnologia Part 1, in which the FairyTail Guild bands together and uses Fairy Sphere for the first time. Fairy Sphere is the ultimate defense spell in the FairyTail Guild arsenal. It's only known by a few people, one of which being Makarov, and having the setting be Tenro Island, which is an island filled with near limitless amounts of power that FairyTail members draw from using their FairyTail emblems embedded on their person, they were able to use the island's power along with their own, and along with Makarov, to cast Fairy Sphere for the first time. And because of the amount of power that was in Tenro Island, they were able to take a full power, I won't say full power, but a powerful attack at point blank range from Acnologia. And now it's time for one of my favorite fights in all of FairyTail, Natsu versus Sting and Rogue, which shouldn't be on anyone's list for power of friendship because there are no power-ups given to any of the main characters, mainly Natsu, in that fight. Natsu is just simply stronger than Sting and Rogue. It's been stated multiple times the first generation Dragon Slayers are the strongest and have been through more trials that pushed them to get even stronger than what any of the other Dragon Slayers have been through. That's why they are stronger than Sting and Rogue. And now we have the final fight of the series, Acnologia versus the 7 Dragon Slayers. Now, to explain that, I first need to explain what Acnologia is and what he's doing in this fight. Acnologia is split into 2 forms, his dragon form and his human form. His dragon form is destroying the outside world, while his human form is holding the 7 Dragon Slayers at bay. And to explain the fight, I first need to address the other points of this fight, which are that his dragon form and his human form are still connected to each other, hence why he's able to know what's going on in the outside world, as well as the Dragon Slayer's main weakness being motion sickness. FairyTail Guild, along with the other guilds in Fiore that chose to trap Acnologia's dragon form on a boat, rendering him helpless because of the Dragon Slayer's motion sickness. And they utilized the fact that he's running on purely instinct and chasing the strongest source of magic around him to lure him into a trap to basically abuse the fact that Dragon Slayers are weak to motion sickness. And while that is happening, the 7 Dragon Slayers are keeping his main consciousness occupied in the space-time rift. So that while the Dragon Slayers are fighting and the other FairyTail members are leading him to a trap, he cannot focus on one or the other. He is simply focused on fighting the Dragon Slayers while his body is destroying whatever it can. And because that the dragon body and his human body are still connected, he is still affected by the motion sickness inflicted on his dragon form. And after being trapped on the boat using Fairy Sphere again, it disoriented and made the human form lose his focus, which is why he was able to be hit by an attack by Natsu with the combined power of all 7 Dragon Slayers. Acnologia is not immune to all kinds of magic. He is a Dragon Slayer without a specific element, meaning he can eat all forms of magic, but he is not immune to it. If the magic is strong enough, it still hurts him, it still affects him. And so, on being unable to focus and being hit at point blank range with the combined power of 7 Dragon Slayers, it was enough to end his reign of terror for good. Now, if you think there's anything I missed or anything you would want to debate me about, leave them in the comments and I'll gladly make a part 2 to this video. I might even bring in some people to help me or to argue against me on the matter.